Hey guys, Dr. Cole here with another video for you today, and today's video is on a subject called your microbiome. So in the last video, part 1 of our gut healing series, we talked about leaky gut and how the importance of your intestinal lining, the integrity of your intestinal lining is very important to how your gut functions, and how only the healthy nutrients and vitamins and minerals should be allowed to sift through your gut wall, and it should act as a barrier, as a fishing net, catching the bigger undigested food particles or toxins and passing them through our digestive system as waste. So absolutely, leaky gut is a huge issue today, and you have to have a healthy intestinal tract lining if you're going to have good gut health. However, part 2 of this series, today we're talking about what actually lives inside of your gut, specifically what lives inside of your colon, because your microbiome is a term for all the healthy gut bacteria. It's called flora, all the healthy flora cultures that live inside of your colon in great diversity, in great quantity, hopefully, and in harmony with each other. So we said that over 2,000 years ago, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, said all disease begins in the gut. They understood this back then. Well, if all disease begins there, absolutely all health begins there too. And the more we are studying the microbiome and the different bacteria cultures that live inside of our gut, we're finding out what a huge impact these bacteria cultures have on nearly every facet of our health and on all the other systems in our body too. So some of the things we're just going to discuss here today a little bit right now. Starting at the top, brain health. So your brain and your gut are intricately connected. In fact, you have a nerve that leaves the top part of your neck. It's the most important nerve, called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. Your vagus nerve is like the highway that connects your brain function to your gut function. Do you know that you have more neurons, meaning more nervous system cells that surround your entire gut and give feedback back to the brain, that you have more nervous system cells in your gut than you do your entire spinal cord? So it is a constant communication back and forth from brain to gut, gut to brain, a feedback loop about how your body is functioning. Now look, we understand that our brain can affect how your gut functions, right? If you are stressed, if you're nervous, we have sayings for this. We have sayings like, I'm worried, sick, or I'm sick to my what? I'm sick to my stomach. So if you are stressed, if you're just going through a lot of a period of stress in your life, that may drive acidity in your body, it may drive depression, but it absolutely kind of shuts down gut function too. So we understand that the brain affects the gut. However, it is a 2-lane highway, and your gut absolutely affects how your brain functions too. So we have these things that our brain needs to function correctly called neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters, some of the ones you may have heard of before, are things like dopamine, serotonin, or GABA. And if we think about serotonin and dopamine, some of these feel-good neurotransmitters that make us feel happy, give us a zest for life, have a good attitude, a good sense of overall health and well-being, mental health and well-being, our brain needs these neurotransmitters to feel good and function correctly. There are so many people today that we see, especially coming in with digestive issues, that have depression, anxiety, brain fog. All these brain-based conditions are becoming epidemic today. And as a result, modern medicine, their answer is to give antidepressant drugs, this class of medications called psychotropic drugs, which carry a lot of dangerous side effects. Well, when you take these medications, you're told that they balance the brain chemistry. They begin balancing some of the neurotransmitter levels in our brain, that your brain needs to function correctly. However, here's what you're not told. 90% of the neurotransmitters, the serotonin, the dopamine, the GABA, the stuff that your brain needs to function correctly, is not made in your brain. Only 10% is located there. 90% of these things are made in the gut. So what your brain needs to function correctly, those neurotransmitters are made by the bacteria living inside your gut, if you have enough of the right bacteria and if you have enough diversity and quantity of those bacteria too. So your gut being healthy makes your brain healthy. Part 2 of this is your immune system function. Now you may not know this, but 80 to 90% of your immune system is located in your gut. So literally, for you to fight bacteria and viral infections, for you to be as healthy as you can and mount a great defense against the things that are circulating during the cold or the flu seasons, or even fighting cancer, all of that defense comes from our immune system being mostly located in the gut. And there are literal bacteria cultures in your gut that influences how your immune system functions. So autoimmune disease is a big thing that we talk about in a lot of my clients that have gut issues. And we see a lot of people that have autoimmune issues here too. Well, we talked a lot about this last time, how some of the cascade that leads to autoimmune begins with leaky gut. But oftentimes too, people with autoimmune disease either A, never got the right bacteria cultures in the first place. And that would be from like having like a C-section birth and not being breastfed or having tons of antibiotics as a child, something where they either started off on the wrong foot or they didn't get enough of the healthy bacteria cultures to begin with. So if we don't have enough of the healthy bacteria, well, some of these cultures tell your immune system how to function. They'll tell the immune system, hey, leave that tissue alone. That's our body's own native tissue. Or go and attack that. That's a foreign virus or bacteria, and we need to eradicate it. So some of those bacteria cultures that hold the immune system back and say, leave that tissue alone, that's our own tissue, don't attack that. A lot of those cultures in our gut are missing in people who have autoimmune issues. And so as a result, the immune system becomes triggered through diet, through stress, through toxins, but it doesn't have anything holding in the reins, keeping it from attacking our body's own tissue. So on that note, if you are autoimmune, certainly we have to go back to the gut first and get these right cultures in there to stabilize and balance the diversity of the cultures that deal with immune function. On the other side of that, if you're not autoimmune, if you're not like overly active with your immune system, but if you're the person who gets sick all the time, if whatever's going around, you get it. If you have asthma, allergies, food sensitivities, if you're just like overly sensitive or susceptible to whatever's going on in the environment or the weather outside or the pollen, or like I said, illness-wise, if something's going around, you always get sick, a major clue to look into is your microbiome. Do you have enough of those healthy flora cultures that are boosting your immune system and boosting how your body responds to viruses and bacteria and different infections out there? Number 3, we're going to talk about the metabolism. So what we eat influences what grows in our gut. I talked with clients before, back when I was turning my health around. I had a lot of GI issues before, about 10 years ago, when I was eating a lot of the wrong foods. And it wasn't any like specific food or supplement that turned things around. Everything turned around after I healed my gut. In the early stages of that, I specifically, mind over matter, had to force myself to eat foods that I wasn't used to eating, that I didn't like the taste of, that I had to just choose to eat anyway because I knew that those were the foods that my gut wanted to eat. Specifically, a lot of like cruciferous and fiber-rich greens and vegetables in my diet. So it's important to note that whatever you eat right now predominantly, that's what you're growing in your gut. Like if you're watching this and you might be a person who's eating maybe until make some changes with your health. If you've been eating the standard American diet, a lot of sugar, refined carbohydrates, a lot of grains and carbs in your diet, then you're probably feeding dysbiosis cultures that we don't want to overgrow in the gut. And now because that's your main food source, that's the main bacteria culture that's going to grow in your gut. As a result, if you think about some healthy foods, like I said, cruciferous stuff, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, cauliflower, asparagus, you might not have a taste for those foods right now, as I didn't before either. Because when you eat those foods, there's very little bacteria that can use them, and the stuff that's living there doesn't want them. It wants more of the carbs and the sugars and the grains. So it's important to note that if you continue with this and you're diligent though, give it like at least 3 months time of cutting out all the bad and making sure that you eat the good foods, you will feed the good guys that grow in your gut. And when they get what they want, they will grow, and the bad guys begin to die when you starve them off of their food sources. Along with the metabolism here too, it's important to note, that if you're a person who cannot lose weight right now, there are literal weight loss resistant microbiome patterns in the gut where if a person's been eating the certain types of foods for so long, or maybe even generationally, their parents as well, you could have bacteria cultures in your gut that literally make weight loss almost non-existent. You're stuck into like a weight loss metabolism type state. That fasting will sometimes be necessary for that. Like we talked about, just switching, doing a 180 for our diet overhaul, cutting out some of the foods that maybe ancestrally your family or maybe even yourself has been consuming for a while, and doing a lot of gut repair work to change around what's growing in your gut so that you have bacteria that now put you into a more of a hormonal sensitive state where you're more of a fat burner and you're not having the bacteria that put you into like an obesity or like a weight loss resistant type state. That would be a long conversation to get into. We'll have to have a whole separate video just on that topic alone. Last two, hormones and cell function. It's no secret your gut plays a big role in elimination of excess hormones and also activation of hormones too. So one of the big things that we see here is thyroid. And so, it's kind of too long to get into in this video specifically. Go back and watch on my website my whole thyroid video where I talk about all the different steps that your thyroid hormone has to get converted into once it leaves the gland in your throat here. However, one of the places where T4 turns into T3, the active version of thyroid hormone that gives you a good metabolism, good hair, skin, nails, temperature regulation, digestion, put on muscle easily and burn fat easily, even like a healthy mindset. All the benefits that come from thyroid come from T3, and your gut and also your liver play a massive role in converting T4 into the active version of T3. So we need healthy microbiome, healthy gut cultures, healthy probiotic flora cultures in our gut to convert these hormones. And also you get rid of excess hormones in the gut too. One of the things that we measure on our stool test that we do called the GI map test is called a beta glucuronidase marker. What that means is your liver packages old hormones, sends them down through detoxification pathways into your colon to be eliminated. Well, if you have enzymes in your colon because you have unhealthy gut bacteria levels or an unhealthy colon function, sometimes those packaged hormones ready for elimination get severed, broken back apart again, and then they reabsorb through the colon wall. So that's something that we test for, and is specifically prevalent in people that have colon or digestive based issues. If you've had a lot of rounds of antibiotics, anything that would destroy the healthy gut cultures in your colon, it can be prevalent to that type of hormone reuptake again, and we see it a lot with estrogen dominance type cases. Final one here. We're only as healthy as our cells. You have over 100 trillion cells in your body. Cells make up tissue. Tissue forms organs. Organs work together to form all the systems in your body. So when we boil it down, the cell is the most basic unit of life in your body. However, our cells have DNA that our bacteria in your gut influences. Literally, the bacteria in your gut can cause cellular signaling. They can cause your cells to be inflamed or not. They can cause your cells to take up certain vitamins or not, be more sensitive to hormones or not. The cells are influenced by what the bacteria in your gut does. And actually, just going from a strict DNA standpoint, this is pretty cool too. If we're talking strictly DNA in our body, there is way more DNA from the bacteria living in your gut than you have human DNA in your body. So I hope the theme you're understanding about this is that so many systems in your body go back to the gut bacteria living in your colon, and why it's always so important to reinforce that. And we're going to do an upcoming video as well on specific foods you can do and why supplements aren't always the best route. If you're spending a lot of money on probiotics right now and not seeing a result, you might want to save your money for the time being, because most supplement probiotics in the market do not cover nearly enough ground to make a difference in the bacteria cultures in your gut. Final thing here that I don't have on the paper, but why to eat fiber. So we know we should eat fiber. We've been told for years fiber is good for colon health, but why is it? So you may not know this, but fiber, your body itself cannot break down fiber. We can't digest fiber. So why should we eat it then? Well, when you eat fiber, specifically from those cruciferous vegetables that I mentioned, the gut bacteria love those. The good guys in your gut love those. When they get what they want as a fuel source, they will create what your colon needs to stay healthy. So your colon cells need these nutrients called short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids. We don't get them through diet. We get them when our healthy bacteria make them, when the healthy bacteria eat fiber. So when you eat the right types of foods, and don't go take Metamucil. I don't want you taking any commercial stuff that you can get at a drugstore type fiber, the worst quality junk out there. I mean healthy, plant-based food fiber sources. When you eat that and your bacteria are healthy, they create B vitamins, they create vitamin K, they create short-chain fatty acids that your colon needs to heal itself and function normally. So if you're watching this right now and you have colitis, if you have polyps, you have diverticulitis, any one of those itises, that means inflammation. If you want to quelch the inflammation, give your colon what it needs, get the fiber in, and maybe even we'll talk about short-chain fatty acid supplementation too in the next video. So Hey, we'll wrap up this video here. Microbiome, after you fix your gut lining, the leaky gut issues, now we have to fix what lives inside of our gut. One of the best tests to run, and again, I've done a video on this, go a few back and watch the GI map test. This will show you in black and white if you have enough of the good guys living in your gut, if there's any pathogenic, meaning bad, bacteria cultures, viruses, parasites, worms, candida or fungal cultures, and other important GI health markers too, like do you have leaky gut? Are you sensitive to gluten? How's your immune system functioning in your gut? Do you have any blood in your stool? Are you packaging those hormones out correctly, or are they being reuptaken again? Is your pancreas and your gallbladder working correctly with your bowel to break down your food? Like all these important markers that will show in relation to your digestion. But the most important is, do you have enough of the good guys, and do you have enough diversity of them? Sheer quantity doesn't always matter. You need diversity of these cultures. Many, many, many different cultures living in your gut. So I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for the next one. Have a great day.